Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to NBA G League Rundown. Got Raymond Lyons here, Wilson Turpay Jr. As always, look, man, there's not that much to get through because this is the last day of the G League season. We told you guys it was a very, very abbreviated season for them, and that was true. Uh, Crowned them. The Lakeland Magic beat the Delaware Bluecoats 97-78 to capture the 2021 G League Championship. Devin Kennedy named Finals MVP with 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. So we'll start with you, Ray. Just your thoughts on today's championship game.
Man, it was just a dominating performance from Lakeland. They started out with an 8-0 run and never relinquished the lead. It was a wide victory. They just look like the sharper team, man. You know, neither team shot exceptionally well, but Lakeland's defense, man, they smothered and harassed Delaware. You know, even Paul Reed couldn't even get loose, and he's been an automatic double for them the whole season. But they Lakeland was aggressive. They shut them down, and that's what got them the game. You know, and they eventually their offense caught up. You know, we talk about it all the time. You know, even if you're struggling offensively and you're playing defense, you give yourself a chance. You know, so because the shots are going to fall eventually. You know, and they did for Lakeland at the right times. But yeah, man, it was just damn near perfect performance from them. You know, they were all over them from jump, and they never let Delaware get back in the game. You know, which is surprising because Delaware, they've been at the top of the standings for pretty much the entire season. You know, and they had been performing well in the playoffs up to this point. But Lakeland was just on a mission. They got hot at the right time, and it just carried them through to the championship.
Yeah, how about that? Is super cliche. The hottest team won, right? I mean, but that's essentially what it was, right? Lakeland didn't exactly have a bad season, but they, you're I think what were they, a 4 seed? It's not like you were a 1 seed or a 2. You're the 4 or 5 seed, and you end up winning the championship. And I think this was like a 4 or 5 matchup. So again, we saw some of the heavy hitters go out early in the postseason, which again is anything can happen. And we watched 2 teams get after it, and we're going to get to it later. I'm sure some of these names are going to pop up once again. I know you mentioned Paul Reed. When we talk about we each had to compile a list of 5 players that stood out to us the most. I'm going to call them like our all G League rundown team. Just 5 players. I feel comfortable. My sources tell me that Paul Reed will be making at least 1 appearance later this evening when we get to that. But like you said, defense goes a long way. Obviously, not exactly the most popular thing nowadays, but it held them down. And then the shots started falling. And when they started falling, man, they came in bunches. Everybody was hitting. Try to give me a second so I can tell you what they shot from 3, but they got going, man. Lakeland, look, it was 12 or 35 from 3, but it felt like they happened in clusters.
Right.
When they did a 3, it was like, all right, here's 3 of them. Wait a little bit. Here's another 2. Here's another 3. Look, man, they did a really good job. They shot 49 from the floor, 71 from the line. It didn't turn it. The turnovers weren't exactly the greatest, but playing good defense gets you out of sometimes turning the ball over. You want to know what they did defensively? I'm gonna put some numbers to what you shared. They held their opponents to 31% from the floor and 21 from 3. I'm gonna say that one more time: 31% from the floor and 21% from 3.
Yeah, if you do that to a team, then 9 times out of 10 you winning that game, because it's hard to match that type of futility. And if you do, you definitely deserve to lose. You know,
And
but
again, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but Delaware only turned the ball over 11 times. It was literally just lockdown defense. That's that's it. It was a plus 8 on the boards in favor of Lakeland. That's it. Turned the ball over 6 more times, had 8 more rebounds. Just you held them to 31% shooting.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's not like there weren't some players over there on the blue coat side. Like, that's outstanding defense.
Ain't too many other ways you could put it, man. They just strapped up.
man, it's crazy. Just couple good games of defense, and look what you got yourself, a whole G League championship. So it was cool to watch them celebrate, especially in this type of year, everything's up and down. No one even know if they would get fully through the season. Just
Mhm.
because someone's in a bubble doesn't guarantee that nothing will go wrong. So kudos to them to getting through this very compressed G League season. What we're gonna do is, we always talk about the Bayhawks and Ignite tonight, not about the Bayhawks, but what we're gonna do is, since it's our last G League rundown for this specific season, just want to share our final thoughts on the Ignite. We talked about it almost every week. It's the first year of this. What do you leave this season with in regards to the Ignite?
I think it was all in all, it was good. It was a good season for them. They, of course, the main thing was just them getting experience and getting that exposure. Giving them a chance to kind of see where they were. Of course, they had their ups and downs. Started the season off very hot. They won their first 4 games, I believe. Hit some struggles after that, but they still squeezed their way into the playoffs. Uh, Man, Jaylen Green, man, he was their most consistent player. It's not even close. He definitely helped himself a lot, and Kaminga, he was able to do some good things. And coming down the stretch of Isaiah Todd and the other guy's name is escaping me right now.
You talk about what, Brandon Ashley?
Yes, Brandon Ashley. Yeah,
Gotcha.
they play well coming down the stretch of the season. So maybe that'll entice somebody to take a chance on them. So yeah, it was a good first year for this program. I think seeing how it went is really going to pique other people's interests moving forward. Shout out to Brian Shaw and that coaching staff for just kind of guiding these young men through this thing, and also the veterans they had on their team, Jared Jack, and a couple other guys, just there to just kind of see them through. I think it's valuable that they have those guys next to them going through this, as opposed to just being a team of all fresh dudes, because I'm pretty sure they encountered some new things that they never seen before. That professional life is different, and especially in a season like this where everything's so compacted and on top of each other. But yeah, man, it was a good run for them. They expectations wise, they performed pretty much how I thought they would.
Right.
There were going to be some flashes that'll show why they're at the top of a lot of people's draft boards, and there's going to be some periods where the inexperience will show. So if good season for them, and I'm excited to see what happens with this moving forward.
Yeah, same. And this is the other thing going forward. Possibly post looking for the next G League season, it won't be as compressed.
Right.
And this is a huge factor in which I want to give those, this inaugural G League Ignite team some love, because not only were all these things, first time experiences, right? Playing on this level, getting acclimated to this type of coaching. You guys also had this uber compressed schedule. G League season is typically not like this. It
Right.
runs, kind of along the same pace as the NBA season for the most part. And even this year with NBA season, it's a bit abbreviated in terms of all the back-to-backs or whatever. That still had nothing on this 15, 16 games for the G League. Like, this was crazy. It was back-to-backs, one day off, back-to-backs, one day off, back-to-backs. Here's 2 days playoffs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So all the things, I'm sure the kids' heads are swimming and everything else, but it was a good inaugural run. Looking forward to, how they build off it. And obviously looking forward to see who gets their name, where, those young guys, their name will come draft day. Because that's going to play a pivotal part to the continued growth of this initiative. The G League Ignite. So, I definitely enjoyed it. Like you said, I think you summed it up perfectly. I'm not mad at it. It was a 500 experience. I'm not mad at that.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the things you got experience, the must-win game down the stretch to get into the postseason. You got a postseason game. Things didn't go well, but you got a postseason experience. I don't really see the negatives here, man. Whole lot. Now you get a chance to kind of relax. you definitely get to go into, you know, the NBA draft once that time comes with a clear idea of what you need to work on because you've already seen some things.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to a little bit later. Some of the guys that you already went ahead, some of the guys you guys already went toe to toe with, you're gonna see some of these dudes because those dudes already got called up. Everybody didn't play all 15 games. So yeah, I'm with you. I thought it was good. Look forward to I kind of look forward to see who makes that roster each and every year, right?
Right.
The G League. All right, so this should be fun. Standout players, aka the G League, our all G League rundown team. I'm gonna let you choose, sir. You want to go first? It's up to you.
I go ahead and go first.
Right. Hey, also just real quick, don't steal my notes.
All right, so my five guys were Henry Ellison, Paul Reed, Kevin Porter Jr., Jordan Poole, and Jared Harper.
All right, cool. You left me with at least one name that was different. Man, just all over my notes. All right, Kevin Porter Jr., Paul Reed, Henry Ellison. I had Mamadi Diakite. And he should have been, and that's the thing, he didn't play for the Lakeland Magic today, correct?
No, he didn't.
Because he got caught up. I think he's on the Bucks right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they won a championship without him. And then Jared Harper, obviously, it's crazy for Jared Harper. Kind of flew under the radar the entire season, even though he was producing the entire season. He was extremely consistent. I'm gonna just throw some numbers on the guys that we named. Jared Harper, 21.3 points a game. I'm gonna call this 7 assists. All right, it says 6.9. I'm comfortable with 7.
Right.
Hope you guys are as well. Cool. All right, cool. So 7 assists, 3 rebounds. Shot 47 from the floor and 40 from 3. We mentioned Diakite. We mentioned him several times during the G League rundown. 18.5 points per game, 10.3 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 2.1 blocks. Shot 58 from the floor and 50 from 3. That's what Lakeland was missing today when they won the G League championship.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about what they were defensively, they put on that type of defensive performance without that. It's another one of those 6'9", uber rangy defenders, and they didn't have services there, right? We got Henry Ellison, like you mentioned, 21.2, 8 rebounds, shot 49 from the floor, and more importantly for a big, 42 from 3. You mentioned Paul Reed, phenomenal all year, 22.3 points a game, 11.8 boards, 2.3 assists, 2 steals, and just under 2 blocks at 1.8 per game. And Kevin Porter Jr., man, we already know what it is with him. Y'all have heard us sing his praises for like 3 consecutive pairings of Wednesdays and Fridays, 3 weeks. Every Wednesday, every Friday, Kevin Porter Jr., Kevin Porter Jr., Kevin Porter Jr., and I think he just got caught up recently to take his place with the Rockets, Kevin Porter Jr. He averaged 24 points, 6.5 rebounds, 7.2 assists per game, which wasn't that far off the G League lead, and 1.5 steals. They hooped. And out of all those guys, how many of them didn't get called up yet?
Ellison, Reed, and
Diakite, right? So
and Harper.
Oh, okay. That didn't get caught up. Right. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Reed, Ellison, and Harper. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. And even then, the same thing, like folks like Reed and Harper, that's not to say you want that opportunity because, you know, I'm sure you saw it and we've mentioned it before with the 2 ways. It's a little bit different this year, a little bit more wiggle room. We just got to the second half of the season in NBA. Don't be surprised to hear some of those names.
Yeah, and then when with both of those guys, their NBA counterpart, they're just log jam at their position.
Right.
So you know it's not much wiggle room in that aspect. You know, so you know maybe now that their season is over, they might who knows, they might get a chance. You know, God forbid somebody gets injured. You know, you never want to see that, but you know if the opportunity presents itself that way, then I think either one of those guys would be perfectly ready to go ahead and step in.
Yeah, and some of the other thing is the interesting fits they have, like you said, you mentioned a logjam for the respective teams that they belong to in terms of the 2 ways. Like, it's not a bad look at all. Like, I think Paul Reed, if he was caught up, that's to the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
Just another 6'9" rangy person because why not, right? Don't have enough of those. Well, I love that you brought that up. It's not an indictment on any of these guys. It's just some of them their NBA, their big brother team, they just stacked.
Yeah.
They're just stacked. And I look forward to seeing Jared Harper at some point. I would hope it happens, getting some run with the Knicks
Hmm.
during the rest of the regular season, because they've had a nice little resurgence with a bunch of youngsters. Got some vets, but even just to have them up and have them around, it's not a bad look. Um, you have any final thoughts before we kind of close the door on this G League season? In the
Um,
G League rundown, rather.
man, just shout out to Sharif Abdul Rahim, man. I think this is his first season running the G League, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it's got to be second season at max, but nevertheless, man, he's done a great job. Getting this thing situated. Even for them having a season and giving these guys an opportunity to play. I mean, it's huge, man. You see how it's affecting every level of basketball. From the NBA down to high school. Especially with the lower levels, just gaining some visibility. And I think this was crucial for a lot of these guys. So yeah, man, shout out to him for getting this thing underway and able to sustain it, for the duration.
Nah, for sure. And that's pretty much, I don't think there's anything else I can add. On top of that, I think that was a perfect way to close it. Thank you guys for checking out the G League Rundown this past month on Wednesdays and Fridays, a little bit more than a month. We enjoyed it. I'm not gonna I'll take a stab in the dark and say it might be something that continues next year with the G League season. It was kind of fun though. I'm not gonna lie, definitely enjoyed it. And then the next time we'll see you guys, if you're Wizards fans, tomorrow night, after the conclusion of tomorrow night's game, for Wizards Outlook. So for Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr., guys have a great night. And thanks for watching the G League Rundown.